Good evening. Good evening, Sam. Good evening, Marvin. Good evening, everyone. Take all you wasted on and every little past frustration, yeah. Take out all your so-called problems. Better put them in quotations, yeah. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to say. Of course I do, Sam. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to, yeah. Walking like a one-man army, battling with the shadows in your head, living in the same old moments, knowing that you're better off instead. If you could only seem to say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to. Say what you mean to. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening, hearing, watching from. Hi, my name's JP. Welcome to LoopLab Mondays. I nearly said the wrong way around then. Let's try that again. Welcome to LoopLab Mondays. If you've never been here before, what we do is play a couple of tunes for you. Down in this corner over here is my looper. Let me do that. There we go. And we're going to actually make that sort of the main part of the screen. And the whole part of... I'll start again. The whole part of LoopLab Mondays is to actually break down looping. And also, if you've got questions about how to loop, if you want to get into looping, then we've got a couple of solutions for you as well. But if you've just been too afraid to ask, or you've got a couple of questions about looping, now is the time. So good evening. How are we? Sam, first to say hi. Hi, JP. Hi. Marvin as well. Hello, Marvin. And Marvin says, have you ever considered doing stuff on a ship? They'd love you. Thank you very much. That's lovely. No, because I just couldn't be away from the family that long, I don't think. I think if I was younger, I would have done it, but not now. No. Nice idea, though. So good. Question is, music your job? Yes, it is. Absolutely. So I'm an independent musician. I have 3 albums out. I have lots of singles out. We've got another single coming out soon. I'm waiting for a friend of mine to sing with us on a duo. And then we've got another set out, which is Tokyo Wasteland. So if you have a look at Tokyo Wasteland and John Paul, you'll find all my stuff. So there we go. So a couple of things to get through first before we get going into LoopLab. And I've got a couple of questions for you tonight as well. So I want some activity in the chat. But this live stream is sponsored, and it's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution company. If you give your songs to them, they'll push it out everywhere, basically. Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Pandora, you name it, they'll play it there. And if you basically want to do that and you want to actually get your music out there in the world, it's never been an easier time for musicians to actually release music. I've released a couple of things this year. I'm releasing at least two more things this year. So that QR code that's down there, and basically gives you 7% off the first annual membership with DistroKid. So what you have to do is, normally with other music distributors, you have to pay per release. You have to pay to release your music, and that's fine because obviously with that, it pays for the distributors to do the right thing and get the licensing all sorted for you. But most music distributors charge you every release you do. DistroKid don't do that. They charge you one price per year, which is $22.99, and we have 7% off your first annual membership with the link that's in the description box. It's also that QR code. And there we go. So that's DistroKid. Thank you very much for them for sponsoring this live stream. There's a couple of other things I want to tell you about. Starting with the thing that's coming up very, very soon, which is my good friend David Shannon, who is also a fantastic loop artist, is doing David Shannon's Loop Masterclass. He's fab, and he's been working really hard on this. So give him some love. Scan the QR code, or just go and click the link. Just go and have a look. It's $67. It's going to be live. And if you can't make it at that point, he's going to give you the link to the video, so you'll be able to actually go and watch it anytime you want to. He's got some gold in there for looping. If you're looking to do a bit of a looping masterclass, you want to hear from Master, then if you want to hear from someone who knows a lot about looping, and go and speak to David and just go and join his loop masterclass. So I want to help him out this month to promote David's masterclass. So go and scan the QR code. It's just gone into the chat as well. We are live on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So say hi in the chat. Say where you're from. Tell me if you're into looping or not. Hope you are. A couple of things, obviously, that we're going to go through today, but there's a couple of questions I've also got for you as well. For the loop artists in the room, or the budding loop artists in the room, obviously, this is my rig that I use, and you can ask me anything. You can ask me anything you want. What did you miss? Gary, you missed hardly anything other than me telling you that it's sponsored by DistroKid. Go and join up with them, and also go and join David Shannon's Loop Masterclass. And you missed me playing a tune, which was half of Say What You Need to Say. So there we go. Let's go back over to this. So yes, hi all, hi. I like that. That's quite nice. Hi all. Hi, how we doing? Hope you're well. So yes, you didn't miss much, Gary. Don't worry. We've got a couple of questions this evening. I've got a couple of, shall we say, thought-provoking questions for loop artists. So we've got that. Oh, good. Marvin, fantastic. Working towards a show. That would be fantastic at the South End and Manchester. That'd be cool. Let me know when you're playing, and I'll come and see you. Do you need a support act? I'll come and be your support act, Marvin, if you need me. Sam's got a question. Will the Super Overdrive pedal from Boss work with an acoustic guitar? That's a good question, isn't it? Well, technically, yes. But the thing you've got to remember is, of course, if you've got an overdrive and you've got different pickups, you've got different kind of pickups you get for a guitar, as opposed to having like a humbucker pickup or a pickup for, like this thing. That's got like two humbucker pickups on. So yes, it will, but it will sound very different depending on what you're doing with it. Now, I know someone who puts a little bit of grit and distortion on their acoustic guitar, but they do it very subtly. Mainly because if you go to overdrive and you do the normal thing of turn it up to 11, it's going to sound really muddy. I'll let you know that now. So there we go. Sam also says, hi, I'm into looping massively, and I'm Sam, and he's from Sheffield in the UK. He's got a great music scene in Sheffield. That's fantastic. All good. Jake says he loves David and his videos. It's cool. He's got a class going. Absolutely. He's doing really well as well. You know, he's doing a little bit. He was doing a little bit of touring around New Zealand and stuff. The timing of his Loop Masterclass is in New Zealand time, so you have to work out if it's right for you. Even if it's not right for you and it's in the middle of the night, then you're still going to get that link. And believe me, when I've been speaking, we've been chatting, and I said to him, I want to help him obviously promote his masterclass. We all need to help each other. I just said, that's why we're putting up this QR code, because is gold. He's got some gold. He's got some golden nuggets in there. He's got some great stuff in there, which is fantastic. Sam, did you see the video when he dressed up as you? Yes. Yes, I did. Yes. Only because actually we talked about that. So David has access to my RC600 course and went through it. And then obviously he said, do you mind if I do a little video? And he actually asked permission first, so it was all lovely. If you don't know what we're talking about, when David was JP, then we're talking about this. This is my RC600 course that you can get. It's $197, but you can get it at 4 months at $50 a month, and that is basically the holy Bible of everything that's RC600. I'm still adding to it, would you believe? And it's been out a little while. When you buy the course, you get it, and I'm not going to charge you anymore. So if I add a whole new load of chapters, you're still going to get that course. So you have the choice of either paying $197. Or you can pay basically $50 for 4 months. Now, in the checkout code, if you put subscriber, the word subscriber, you'll get 5% off either the monthly or the full version. If that's a little bit daunting for you, the other one that I do is this one, which is my brand new course, which is called Master the Basics. This is a beginner's looping course. So if you're just getting into looping, this is a fantastic way to jump in, and you get access to it. Again, works on mobile, works on PC, Mac, it doesn't matter. And we go into how to loop. We go into like what you can use for looping. So there we go. I've promoted loads of things now. We're talking about, obviously, this is sponsored by DistroKid. We've got David Loop Masterclass. We've got my RC600 course and my basics course as well. So there we go. Take your pick. All of that's just gone into the chat. One thing I am going to do is I'm just going to do one thing that I was meant to do before we started, which is that. There we go. So if you are, obviously, this is sponsored by DistroKid, and that QR code that you can see there, just above my head there, that is DistroKid, and it's going to be up there the entirety, pretty much. So there we go. Ooh. I thought you'd ask that. Are you talking about the ones in the top right-hand corner? Let's just make this a bit bigger. Oh, that's the wrong way around. There we go. Okay, so we're talking about, what are those mic leads? These are the Hustle XLR leads. These are super thin XLR leads. I take it you're talking about these ones that I point to with my foot very, very gingerly. Yeah, so these are the Hustle, spelt as you think it's spelt, Hustle XLR leads. They're short, but they're not too short, so I found some XLR leads on Amazon, and I was like, oh, look at them, they're like really low profile, and they were like that, they were like sort of like millimeters away from connecting to the TC Helicon. I was gutted, but Hustle actually hooked me up, which is really nice, and they sent me quite a few, so it was really cool, and they work like a dream. They have not moved since they've been installed. They are beautiful, and it doesn't impede on going into the bag when we put the pedal board into the bag. So yeah, so they're really nice. Hustle XLRs, if you just have a look for them. I did have a link for them somewhere. But yeah, if you have a look for Hustle XLR leads, low profile, they're called low profile XLR leads. They're really nice. Now then, for those who had questions about the video I brought out last week, well, it's the end of last week. Yes, I am using the battery, and I am actually using this battery pad. There's lots of cables coming out now, because what I've done is I've got actually my, let me just change the view here, there we go. I've got my amp just down here, so I can hear it, but then I've also got another set of leads going out to the computer over there to my audio interface, just because it's a bit easier this time around. But yes, there is no power cable plugged into that box, and I am using the new battery pack made by Harley Benton, which is the Power Plant Power Bank Plus Mark II. It's got a really long name. I don't know why they call it that, but there we go. So people are asking me, they freaked out as soon as I actually brought this video out. Mainly because it was like, oh my god, it needs, the RC600 needs 1.2 amps and you're running out of 500 milliamps. And I am. And the reason is because if you look at it and you actually drill into the details, from what I can figure out, and I have to be proven wrong on this board at the top here, the RC600, it does need a maximum of that wattage. But I think that's, to my knowledge, that is only when you've got phantom power on both microphones, and I haven't got phantom power on at all. And I don't use phantom power at all in this rig. I do use phantom power for other things, but not for this rig. I don't, and I've been running it. I did 2 hours with this, and then had to charge it afterwards because I also had to plug in an amp to it as well. So it actually got down to 1 bar. We were still third full. There we go. This little battery pack is great. Unfortunately, what I didn't realise is a lot of people have said that obviously they don't supply to the US, they don't supply to New Zealand, but apparently they are looking at that. If you can get Harley Benton stuff through reverb.com if you are interested. So there we go. Jake says, quite a lot. Thanks for running down your RC600 rig. Been thinking of upgrading mine from my 50. Is the 600 the only boss looper that lets you set track lengths on the fly, like in your loop sync video? Yes and no. The 500, any of the kind of new ones that's 32-bit, basically. So I think the 500, the 600, and the 505 Mark II, so the tabletop one. You can set it so if you've got a multi-phrase looper, you can set it so it's like to the nearest bar. Now that only came with version 1.21 of the software. I have to really think then. But then, yes, you can basically set it. So what I've got set up is it's on auto, so it's like I set the tempo. So if I do a bit of and then hit it, it'll do it. And then you can set it so each one is actually going, well, that's the BPM, but then how many bars it is based on what I do. So I find that to be the most flexible. But it depends on what you need. Some people obviously will set it so it's completely set, which is really, really good. Sam, question, can you talk us through what everything is on your setup? Absolutely, I can. So let's have a look at this. Bit of a croaky voice tonight. Sung a bit too hard yesterday in the sun, which was nice. Starting at the very top, starting with the pedal board itself. The pedal board is a Nux, N-U-X, Bumblebee Large. So it's like a little bit like Meccano, and you get the yellow frames on the side and a load of bars to go across it. And it's a 2-tier pedal board. So underneath this, oh god, I nearly knocked that off. Underneath the actual RC600 is where the power thing is. And then on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see 2 green circles. I've done a video about these. These are the Legato transmitters, and they're actually on my guitars. They're on each one of my guitars, and they transmit, and they're wireless transmitters. This is a switcher to switch between the 2 guitars. So at the moment, green is the green guitar, and red is the red guitar that's hanging up behind me. They both go in with the microphone going into the black box here, which is the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic. It's a bit of a mouthful. But TC Helicon are the manufacturer. They don't make it anymore. And it's terrifying me because, of course, if this thing breaks, I'm going to have to find a second-hand one, then people will charge triple the price. And I don't think you can get hold of it anymore, but basically that's what gives me my harmonies. That's also what gives me my effects. Now you can have guitar effects on here as well as vocal effects. But what I do is I tend to just go up and down the presets, turn it on, turn it off, and it's as simple as that. So for example, la 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 la. I don't have to program it at all. It knows what chord you're playing. Doesn't matter what key you're in. Doesn't matter what tuning you're in. I've done it with DADGAD. I do it with normal tuning. So just so you are, the reason why I've got 2 guitars is because the green one is in normal tuning and the red one is in DADGAD. Because I like DADGAD and I like saying DADGAD because it's cool. The volume pedal here, it's a mini volume pedal. I mean, look at the size of my foot in comparison. But basically, it's a mini volume pedal. And I used to have a really big volume pedal here on a much bigger board, and I do miss having, that's the only thing I miss having a full-size volume pedal, but to fit on this board I needed a mini one. So this is actually brain's gone completely dead. Who made it? It's called the Vespress. So it can be a volume and expression pedal. So it can either be a volume pedal for your guitar you plug in on one side and plug out the other, or if you just plug out, you can control the expression of something. So what I've done is that I've decided to actually put that as the expression for the volume of the loops, but not the volume of my microphone or the guitar. And then finally, the FS7 pedal is a compact version of the FS6. That's the only difference. So instead of it being side by side, it's on top of each other. And then what I do with these is this is at the moment, it's sitting as a memory up and memory down for the RC600. That is the fastest way to get rid of a loop. Instead of erasing it, you can just go memory down, memory up, and you're back where you are. However, I do use a couple of different presets and a couple of different memories, so I step through it on my live gigs. So, Sam, I hope that's opened your question. There we go. So, all fun and games. All good. Jason, hi, good evening. How are we doing? I hope you're okay. On the multi-pages as well. The multi-pages? The multi-pages? What are you talking about, the multi-pages? Are you talking about the different setups I've got on the actual pages of this? That'll take a while to get through, but I do have a video about that. So I have a customization video. So if you want to actually take the time and drill into that. But basically, I've got this one, which is in multi-mode. So all of the 6 tracks play at the same time. I've got another one which is in single mode, so all of these buttons turn into like verse, chorus, bridge, and more. And I've got one that's a mixture of the two. So there we go. So it just depends what we're going to do. Yeah. What's this one? So not credible on Donald Circle looper information on and off switch. Yeah. So the Donald Circle looper actually using one of my loop courses actually because you've got to basically double tap to stop the loop. You have to do that with things like the RC5, single phrase loopers, any single phrase loop, the Ditto loop. You have to there was a double tap to stop, and it's really hard when you're playing a tune and you double tap, or you do it just enough to be too slow, and then you're actually not meant to, and you actually double tap and you do and you turn the loop on and off, which is a bit annoying. But you can get an external additional pedal to click into the Donald Circle looper as well. Spicy Loops, good evening, how are we? Been having trouble programming my Loopy Pro for a verse and a chorus. Well, Loopy Pro is a monster in itself, and we know this, but what you can do is, sorry, every time I move away, I'm just putting my mouse down. I need something here. I need to get like a little like plate or something, or like a stand or something with a stream deck or something. I don't know, like a real streamer. But yeah, basically Loopy Pro, we have an entire series now. So me and Michael, the creator of Loopy Pro, we work together to create the Loopy Pro video manual. So if you haven't seen it already, go into the YouTube channel, obviously. Go to playlist and look for the one that says Loopy Pro. And then there are 11 videos of the video playlist of the video manual, sorry. And there's more to come. There's actually, we're working on a couple more as well. So there is one about having it in different modes, like verse, chorus, so that it's more about, I think it's episode 6 when we're building our own looper. And then there's also ones about how the play modes. So as you tap on one, the other one turns off. So it's things like that. So have a look at that series if you haven't already. If you have, then basically, and you're still stuck, then the next question comes in quite well. Yes, I do. So if you go to johnpaulmusic.co.uk and then scroll down, I have a one-to-one consultation session that you can book if you want to, and it is obviously a paid-for session. You're more than welcome. And then obviously we can schedule that. The great thing about that is that I actually record the session and then send you the link so you can watch it back whenever you like. So there we go. So that if you do want a one-to-one with me, if you want me to help you or work with you, have a look at johnpaulmusic.co.uk, scroll down to the consultation bit, the one-to-one bit, and then there's a separate page there with all the prices. As soon as I click this, it goes really, really small for some reason. Hi, thanks for all your great videos in the RC600. You're welcome. I have a problem with the input effects. I changed some setups, and now I don't get the effects signal on my master. Maybe you have a fast fix for this. I don't have a fast fix for this, but I know what's wrong with it. So I've dived deep into this thing. So basically what you've done is when you go to the, go to menu, go to output. And by the way, this will be available on replay, so you don't have to suddenly get a pen and write this down. Go to menu, go to output, and I think if I remember, go to routing, and then go rhythm stroke output. And then right at the end, there'll be an option basically for the master. And then the master output, you can change it so it's on headphones or it's not. And then you can say, well, where is it going to? If you change it to anything other than the master one, then what it does is it turns around and goes, well, you don't want that on the master, so I'm going to turn it off. It's a bit of a weird routing option, but I've seen that before. So then when you do that setup, the one thing you can do is you can actually do a factory reset without erasing your loops. The downside of that is, of course, it's going to erase every other setting. So can do different kinds of factory resets, and I'm bringing a video out about that and just showing you the difference. And I'm going to factory reset my RC600, but don't worry, I'm going to obviously save it first and show you how. So there we go. No, track select. Oh, you're talking about track select. Okay, so going back to what Sam's talking about, we're talking about track select. So if you have a look at the RC600 at the moment, it's got 9 buttons on the top. Okay, 9 buttons, that's it. But it actually has, first of all, 6 loops. So each one of these, let me change the view so you can see it properly. Hang on. There we go, that's better. You don't need to see me, I'm in the corner. Hi. So as it stands right now, I'm going to use my foot as a demonstration, but these two, that one and that one, that is track 1. Track 2, track 3. So where are the other 3 tracks? Well, track select button 7 is this one here. And when you press it, you go to the next 3. I didn't press it properly because I'm going to bump the camera. There we go. So now it's red. Do you see it's red? So now that is page 2. So that's where the other 3 loops live. But you can change this. You can change all of this, by the way. You can have all 6 loops on one page. But by default, out of the box, then the next 2 blue ones here are now track 4, track 5, track 6. It's actually written in between. So it'll say 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. The third one goes blue, and this is where your effects are. Now, written on the box, it actually says input effects and track effects. So input effects, you've got input effects here and track effects here. And then you've also got written in black, this one is half speed, and this one is reverse. However, I don't use those 2 options at all in my set. So what I've done is I've changed it. So now, ignore what's written on the tin. I always say on the tin, but ignore what's written on the tin, and it's now input effects A to D are the first 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the track effects are actually at the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've actually done it like that. So I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can actually have 4 input effects and 4 track effects, and there are 4 banks of that as well. Now you can only have 1 bank going at a time. So it depends on what you want to do. So you can actually do that. So if you wanted to have all 6 loops on one page, you can do. And that's actually one, oh, did knock the camera, I knew it would. That's actually one of the presets I've got. If you want a copy of my presets, they are available inside, nice segue, inside my RC600 course. That's one of the things I actually do. Whereas if you actually go and get the course, it's $197, but you can actually get it for 4 months at $50 a month. And what you got access to is I think it's over 57 videos now, and definitely over 55. I've lost count actually. But also as part of that, as part of the setup, you actually get my first 3 setups as your 97, 98, and 99 memories. So you can download them and actually have a play with them, which is really cool. There we go. Right, let me go back to the chat. So we've got a great thanks, and we'll give it a try. Absolutely, give it a try. If not, then what we'll do is we'll basically, I'll show you where it is in a more detailed version. So stick around, obviously, and we'll get to that. Well, obviously not on, well, let me rephrase that. Not on this live stream, but stay tuned on the channel. And what we'll do is we'll have a look at that, obviously, as a problem to solve. Ed, good evening. I've only played 1 song, and it's 29 minutes in. So we've basically been doing lots of stuff. Ed Sheeran is back. Gary's got a question. Could you explain the effects banks for us? I can't figure out how to set more than one effect on each bank. Okay. So out of the box, you can turn the effects, or 4 effects on for input effects and 4 effects on for track effects all at once. Let me show you. So that is my third page, as it were. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that sounds really weird, but also with track effects. Now these two, I forgot to tell you, these two are actually on and off. These two are momentary, so I have to hold them down and then let go, and then it'll come back to me. So you can turn each one on, and that's just one bank of effects. Now you'll need another button to actually then go through the banks. If you bend down and actually go to the track effects, what you can do is if you go into effects, go to loop, go across one, go to effects, whichever they are, track or input, and then when you go into an effect, you're actually on, before you go into any effect, you'll see A, B, C, and D. You'll see basically 4 different effects. You probably won't be able to see it on this screen, but I'm going to try and do it anyway. So if you go loop, or if you just tap loop twice, you'll get to here, and then you can actually get to the effects. Now, before you go into effect, that is actually page 2, okay? So, apologies, that's page 1. Sorry, I got mixed up. When you go into an effect, it's page 2. On the effects page where you've got 4 effects looking at you, that is page 1. And if you go a right click, you can see there's a little, to figure out if there's any other pages, have a look at the top right hand corner of the little display. And if there's a little arrow, then there's more. So we're in input effects right now. And then if I go across one, it tells me I'm on bank A. So if I'm on bank A, I can actually just switch the dial, the silver dial, and go A, B, C, and D. And that's the normal way you do it. However, you can change a button, so you can actually get a button like an use the FS7 pedal, for example, or change one of these buttons to say bank up and bank down if you wanted to. Now, you can only use one bank at a time. The other thing you'll see as well is you'll see an option on this page where the banks are. You'll see an option for either single or multi. And that's where you might have the problem if you can only have one effect at a time. So you can actually do it where you have one effect on, and when you turn the other one on, the other one turns off. So you can do it that way as well. That's very useful if you're just stepping through sequences and you just want to go next, 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 next. It's quite handy. I leave mine on multi because I want to have access to more than one effect and make some weird sounding stuff. And then the difference between input effects and track effects are as follows. An input effect affects the input. So it'll bake that into the loop, whereas a track effect will actually affect the track, not your singing or your guitar playing. It'll only affect what's already on the track. So that's kind of on top of what you've already baked in, if that makes sense. And you can turn that off and go and revert back to the norm. So you could either have a bass, I'll give the bass example. You could either have a bass, which is an input effect, and then that way you are burning an input effect in, you're burning a bass sound into the looper. Or you could have it as a track effect. So you just play your normal bass line, like normal guitar, and then the track effect turns that into a bass. But you can turn it off again, because then that way it's just a normal guitar. So it depends on what you want to do. But yeah, it's up to you. So yeah, I just wanted to go over that with that for you. Gary, I hope that makes sense. Can you play a song on your electric guitar? No. There is a reason. It's broken. So this is the Glary guitar. It's a very cheap guitar that I got gifted by Glary themselves. And then I was messing around with it, and I may or may not have broken the pickup. However, there's a guitar that's on the way from Tennessee. And it's a very, very special guitar. And I am incredibly excited about it. I can't tell you anything about it though. It's very special and it's very different. And I am very, very lucky to be able to have a play around with it. So yeah. Bear with me one sec. Now, saying all this, you just saw me bend down actually to get hold of, like, you know, input effects and blah, blah, blah and everything else. There's a couple of people who are using the RC600, have got the RC600 on their channels, and they're actually starting to use an iPad app, which is really, really good. It's really basic, but that's all you need. And you can start doing things like program changes, and you can start doing CC numbers. So the great thing is a program change would be like change a memory, whereas a CC number would be like turn this on or turn this effect on within a sign. So this becomes really, really cool. So really, really useful. Yes, I've just realized who's in the room. Spicy Loops, you and Piers need to have a damn good conversation because Piers is well up on Loopy Pro and can really get hold of it. I can do it as well, but Piers basically uses Loopy Pro as his main looper. So there's not a lot that Piers doesn't know about Loopy Pro. Piers needs to start a Loopy Pro channel. That's basically what I'm saying. So yeah, there we go. Right, could I, Gary says, could I have, say, chorus and delay on an input effect A? Yes, you can. So let me go back to this. I don't know why I put the mouse down because I'm going to change it. So, for example, I've got effects actually set up for all kinds. But, for example, I've got this effect. So if I talk like this, it sounds a bit weird, right? Like a sort of a weird, swirly sound. And then I also do this. Well, I can do this as well. This is a radio effect with the first one. Now, if you have a look closely. If you have a look closely when I'm actually tapping on these effects, then if it's purple, that's the one that is you're in control of at that moment, because you can use external things like expression pedals, MIDI controllers, so it needs to know which one you're playing with. So if it's purple, that's the one you're playing with. So you can see that one's purple. I hope that makes sense. So now that one's purple, but then if I go to this one, that one will go red. Okay, so it's still on, but this is the one I'm meant to be controlling. You probably couldn't hear that. So that's the one you're meant to be controlling. So I just wanted to point that out for effects because it's quite important to know the colours, so you know where you are, and it's a lot easier that way. So there we go. Piers is chatting away. There we go. Told you Piers knew about Loopy Pro. There you go. Absolutely, yeah. Join the Facebook and Discord groups for both. Well, actually, that's for most things. So there's a Loopy Pro one. They are very friendly. There's an RC600 one, and they're incredibly friendly too. So go and join them. And if you've got questions, obviously loads of people put questions there. Now, I had a question, and I said to you before, but when we were doing this, I have a thought-provoking question. What do you think about when people are performing, whether they should have an iPad on stage? Now, this has nothing to do with looping per se, but basically I've had a little bit of a to and a fro in with a couple of people. Some people are like, yeah, it's fine, no problem, you know, you're doing your job, it's just like, you got your lyrics on there, you've got your chords on there, whatever. And then other people are like, absolutely not, it deters from you playing. So I just want to know, I want people to put in the chat, iPad on stage, yes or no? And your reasons for it, because you do have an iPad on stage, and there's two reasons. One is because I actually have it for lyrics, and I have it for because I've got like lots of different lyrics, and I'm doing a full 2-hour show. And then the other reason as well is because then if someone goes, "Do you know this song?" I could actually get like the guitar tabs app up and just sort of like, you know, as long as I feel confident, go through it really quickly. So it's almost like a like a reference for me. But the other thing I'm looking to start doing is I'm looking to start actually controlling one or two things with the RC600 with the iPad. And then the iPad is Bluetooth, and there's a little adapter you can get which is called a WIDI Master, and I've actually got it over there. But you can actually attach it, and I had it attached permanently on the RC600 for a little while. And then I was talking to you about this app on the iPad. You can also get it on an iPhone. I think there's an Android version as well. And it means you can like mute the mic, or you can go next track, or things like this, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, it depends on what you like. Now, obviously, if it's a controller, if you're using it as a controller to control the device, that's slightly different than if you're using it for, like, you know, your lyrics. Now, at the moment, I'll put my hand up and say, I just use it for the lyrics, that's it. But I do use it, obviously, to search lyrics. If someone says, do you know this? And I don't, but then I go, oh, well, it's only 4 chords, I'll busk through it. So it depends on what you're doing. So Gary's basically saying dislike it as really dislike it as a control surface though. It just moved. Sorry. Personally, don't like it as reading puts me off, but it's a lot better than music stand. Definitely. Really dislike it as a control surface, says Pierce. Much prefer physical buttons. Absolutely. As an observer, Mark Rebellier uses a Mac as well as an RC500. Yeah, it does. And stuff. So iPad is just slightly more limited device. If it forces me to look at them, then I'm not happy with it. Okay, that's quite an interesting section of people. That's quite nice. It's cool. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it INZ? INZ. I'm going to say INZ, and then you can tell me if that's right or wrong. You had a question, and I completely just went past it, which was: what is the simple way to get a metronome click in my headphones and record the rhythm without recording the click when I play in drums over my ears over my MIDI controller? Let me read that again. Is there a simple way to get a metronome click in my headphones and record the rhythm without recording the click when I play in drums over my MIDI controller? So in short, yes, because the thing is, if you're talking about the RC600, if that's what you mean, then it has multiple outs. So I'll give you an example. The main out is actually going to my little speaker down here. The sub out is exactly the same for tonight, and it's actually going to you guys. Even though it's a completely different out, it's the same out. But if I turned this amp up, it wouldn't turn up with you because it's a different out. So what you can do is you can use one of the subs, you can use the headphone output, and you can actually route the rhythm to the headphone output, but not route the rhythm to the main PA. And that way, you could use rhythms, you could use click tracks. The only downside of that is that basically the rhythm is the click track. So there's a metronome section in the rhythm, but there's no way to actually separate a metronome and have a rhythm as well. You have to have one or the other. But the good news is, yes, I mean, there's 8 outs technically, so you can actually have 8 different outs, and you can have it where you could, you know, hear a click, click, or have a little groove going, but the audience don't hear it, and think that's basically a different way of doing it. So yeah, let's have a quick look. I'm still thinking about starting to use it. I'm still on lead sheets printed like 1999. Yeah, so I had a book. And do you know what? I have a hilarious story about that. So I had a book, and it actually kind of just sat, like a little thing that went on the mic stand, and then little sort of, you know, polythene bag, you know, book kind of thing, going through it and stuff. 2 things would always happen. One, I'd be like, oh, I feel like playing that. I feel like playing this next. And the audience are like there, folded arms, going, what's he doing? But the funny story was, I was busy playing, I was looping away, I was doing a really cool, you know, song and this, that, and the other, really energetic. And this drunk girl just walked up and went, is this your book of songs? And just took it. Just took it like it was a karaoke list and went, can you do that one? I was like, hang on, I need that. So when it's an iPad, it's a little bit easier. However, I have had someone try to take the iPad in the same vein of going, is that your book of songs, mate? So that's a bit of a weird one. Definitely, it depends on the venue you're playing at. If you're playing at close quarters in like an Irish bar, it's a bit weird to have this on here. So yeah, it depends, but yeah, going over to the sort of polythene sheeted folder. At least if that went missing and got spilt on, I could print another one out. Be a bit annoyed, obviously, with the iPad just went walkies. So there we go. Mike Carter's in the house. Mike, don't worry if you've missed it. It's fine. But today we're actually talking about, obviously, like, a couple of questions about the RT600, as I always get. But we're talking about at the moment, how do you feel comfortable-wise performing with an iPad or some electronic device on stage, aka to read sheet music or to use it as a controller for something else? So there we go. It's all fun and games. Are you using the Morningstar MC6 Pro in your setup for in the future? And are you slurping Brewdog there? Yes, I am. I am sleeping. It's my favorite. If anyone wants to send me some, send it to the PO box. I don't have a PO box. But yeah, it is. It's my favorite. MC6 Pro is an interesting one. So for those who don't know what that is, it's a MIDI controller basically where it's a MIDI controller on steroids. So with most MIDI controllers, you press a button, it tells it to do a CC number, and that's it. And that is a very basic MIDI controller explanation. The Morningstar, what it can do is it can actually send 32 different messages with one button press, and you can do different things with those button presses. You can have a double press, you can have a long press, you can have all these different things, and it's absolutely mental. And I've had the Morningstar MC8 for a while. And then I was very graciously gifted by Morningstar themselves, the MC6 Pro, because they wanted me to do a video about it. And I did the video. I used it on a couple of gigs with a smaller setup with the RC500, funnily enough. And I haven't used it for a while. I've been really concentrating on getting this rig down to how I want it to be. And I've not needed it, which is a bit of a weird thing. Nux, if you're listening, if you make this pedal board is the Nux Bumblebee Large. I want them to make an XL. Okay, so I want them to make one that's about here. And the reason is because, first of all, it goes straight into the bag and it just slips in like a glove when it goes into the bag. It's lovely. And it's great. But I want them to make one that's like about here. Now, I could actually go and get my own sort of metal rods to the same size of these and actually make it as long as I want to. But I'd like them to make a longer version because then obviously I'd need the right bag. And the reason is because twofold. One, I'd like to incorporate the MIDI pedal back in so I can have a couple more buttons, maybe track effects whilst I'm doing something here. And also so I can have a full-size expression pedal. That's the one thing, I've said it before, I miss having a expression pedal, definitely. But yes, it just depends on basically what you're doing. So there we go. Ooh, warm. What was that, Piers? Much just like reading lyrics, sometimes it's nice to able to pull up a lyric for something I don't know, something I don't know, but which has been requested. Absolutely. Do I have a favourite song that I like to play? Absolutely. Two instantly spring to mind, and as I've just said that, 4 more have come up. Absolutely love playing my versions of things. So the first one is Tom Petty Free Fallin'. I can make an entire choir out of Tom Petty Free Fallin'. It's so good using the 600 because we can put harmonies on. We can do the free fallin' 'cause I'm free fallin', yes I'm. And do all those little bits, which is really nice. There's all these little bits that add in, but by the end of it, when you're screaming at the top of your voice, free fallin', and the place is jumping, they love it. The other one that I absolutely love doing is a song which is called One Day Like This by Elbow. It takes a little bit longer to set up on the loop, but when you've got it going, again, you can add a billion harmonies and everyone's just going like that. Yeah, they love it. And then the other one I do as well is, and it's a bit of a weird one, but Meghan Trainor, All About That Bass. Now, what I've done is, there was a guy, I can't remember his name now, and he kind of tweaked the words so it was from the male perspective. And I kind of got that and took that, and I was like, right. So I added that in, and it's not that much of a loop, but I use it on, where are you? I do it on the Dadgad on Red. That's Red, this is Lucky Lime. They've both got stories. And I do that on Dadgad. That's real fun because people aren't expecting me to sing it like, well, my girlfriend, she told me, and all that kind of stuff. So and I always say, what is it? All About Cupcakes. So I sang all about that bass, and I sang I really like pancakes, cupcakes, no trouble. So adding those little things in, it makes me smile. I love things like that. And then the other one, there's so many. Stevie Wonder, Superstition. I love playing that. It's so energetic, and you can just absolutely pelt it out. Genesis, I Can't Dance. And I make a big thing of doing it because I sing my basses with. So I do things like that, and then there's a noise actually. If you listen to the original track, and it's got this really weird sort of like mechanical. And I'm just going to make little weird chicken noises. I add it in. So yeah, there's loads, absolutely loads. But if I had an absolute favourite cover to play, it's probably got to be Tom Petty, because I could do it so many different ways. So there we go. But yeah, absolutely. About the click, going back to the click, it is INC, isn't it? You did say yes. I'm going to say yes. It's INC. INC says about the click, a way I found from another video is to record the click first on one of the tracks, and use that as the click track. Of course, that's a clever idea. Yeah, so what you could do is, that means you'd be pre-rolling yourself, so you'd have to do that before you obviously come to the gig and make sure that memory is set up in that way. But yeah, you could do that, so you could, sort of like... and do that. Maybe I could do that with the guitar beforehand and then save that on loop number 6, and then you just hit go. But you route it so it only comes out of your headphones. Absolutely, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, we're all human, aren't we? That's a great idea. That's a really, really good idea. Way more prep time. Absolutely. Now, the other thing as well is, if you're just joining us, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're listening from. This is JP. This is LoopLab Mondays. We're talking about looping, but we're also talking about a couple of things you can tweak, so a couple of things about performing. You may notice the t-shirts, because this live stream is sponsored. It's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid are a music distribution company. So if you want to bring your music out, maybe you've got your own tunes you want to bring out, or you want to bring out covers as well, you can do that with DistroKid. If you're bringing your own stuff out, then basically it's one price per year, as opposed to when music distributors charge you every time you release. And we have teamed up with them, and I use DistroKid to release all my music now. Because it's the simple, and also they have them, I believe, the most features, where they've got things like promo cards, so I don't have to go and search for cool backdrops to put on Instagram. They do things like, for example, you can have more than just the normal tier. So this $22.99 is for the musicians tier. I'm on the musicians plus tier for 2 reasons. One, we have another outfit, which is Tokyo Wasteland, and we're bringing a new track out soon. And that way you've got two different outfits. You can have that on Musicians Plus, but also you can schedule the date of the release, which is really, really handy if you're doing marketing for your own stuff. So with the QR code, it's always been there, up there in the corner, but it's now also there as well. Give that a click, a scan. It's gone into the chat as well. And that'll give you 7% off your first annual membership with them. So thank you for them for sponsoring this live stream. And then also just helping a brother out, as they call it. This is David Shannon's Loop Masterclass. It's coming up at the end of August. It's $67. It's a live masterclass. Now, if the timing isn't right for you, then David is recording the whole thing, and then you get the link to the recording as well. There's absolute gold in there. We've been chatting. We chat offline quite a bit, just obviously exchange ideas. And I want to help him out because, we're all trying to help each other out with YouTube channels and musicianship and all that jazz. So give that QR code, that one over there, a scan, and that is David's Loop Masterclass. So there we go. Right, back to the chat. I haven't actually played anything really. I had something to show you as well. So a lot of people ask me with this. We'll get back to the chat, but basically a lot of people ask me with this, like, what do you have to go all the way round on a revolution for a loop before you can put another one down? And the answer is simply no. So what you can do is not everyone does this, and you don't have to do this, but what I normally do is I kind of put like a rhythm with my guitar. I do something like that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to show you like George Ezra Shotgun. Now I play this a lot, but what you can do is, of course, I'm going to show you the normal way, and I'm going to show you the fast way. So the normal way is this. One. Helps if I'm on the right page. That was the one where we talked about before, wasn't it? See, we all make mistakes. Shut up. So you saw what I did there, right? So basically I recorded a loop and then I pressed the loop the second time to close the loop, and that's what most of us do. What you can do is, I've got this set for two things. One, you can actually set the RC600, instead of going in from recording to play, you can have it from recording to overdub. So it goes straight into overdub anyway, so that's already speeding things up. But should you wish to then go over to the next loop, you can just hit it, and it'll close the first loop off from overdub or from recording, whatever you're going to do. Let me show you. I'm going to record a phrase on loop 1. I'm going to overdub straight away, and then I'm going to record straight into loop 2.
So I hope that makes sense to you.
So I hope that makes sense to you. So instead of actually like pressing the loop and having to press it again before you go over to the other one, what you can do is you can press it, do everything you need to do, and then just go on to the next one. And that one will literally stop recording, and that one will start recording. And also, I've got this set to per measure. So then if you hit it a little bit early or a little bit late, it'll still get there. So I hope that helps you, because it's something that can really, really speed it up. And you can do all these changes in the settings as well, so it's a lot nicer. Right, so talking about obviously having an iPad on stage, what software do you recommend for sheet music? Well, the one I used to use all the time is a program called Fourscore, F-O-R-Score, Fourscore. Use that quite a lot, and also works really well with things like Bluetooth pedals if you want to just do page turning. What I've now done is I've actually just created, because I've got an Apple Mac as well as an iPad, I've created a Pages document, like a Word document, and each page has got the song on in the order I want it in. I save that as a PDF, and to be honest with you, I just use the app called Books. So the app called Books in the iPad, you can just swipe with your finger, and it'll swipe to the next page straight away. It stays on there, it's a full page, all the icons go away. It's as simple as that, and you can still use a page turner in Books for the next one should you wish to. I don't, because what I've tried to do is I've tried to get each song on one page. Apart from there's a couple, so there's two songs I merged together, so I then swipe across to the next song and that's it. But it just depends on what you're doing. So yeah, so I used to use Fourscore. Fourscore's very, very good. Check that out. But the thing I do now is the completely free way. I actually make my set list up in Pages, Make sure it's one. Try and make sure it's one page per song, and then put them together, and then send it out as a PDF to my iPad, and then save it in Books and just use Books. Dead easy. What's that? I can't read it when I click it. Sorry. I just play the first loop and then use that for my tempo. But with Loopy Pro, I can set the tempo and route the click to my monitors if I want to. This is one of the major advantages of things like having, apps that basically don't have a limit. Loopy Pro is phenomenal for that. The routing is unlimited. It really is. It's completely unlimited, pretty much. So when you've got something where you've got multiple ins, multiple outs, all you're limited by is your audio interface. Now, if you've only got an audio interface that basically is 2 in, 2 out, and you've only got headphones, you could still route to the headphones. So if you've got something that's like Shy FX, and Shy FX has got like a sort of 18 in, 20 out audio interface, and then you can route things to different places for the sound engineer. But he's playing massive stages. If you're playing a local pub on a Friday night, then you may just want to go stereo out, but you want to have something in your ears. One of my good friends, John Wynn, who is also a YouTuber, we've done an interview with him, plays locally around here. He does exactly that. He's got in-ear monitors, and then he does two really clever things, which is he has a slightly different mix for him, obviously, in his ears compared to the PA. And then the other thing he does as well is that his first set, he creates everything looped-wise live. Like, everything's like backing track, as it were. And that's the kind of warm-up act, so as he calls it. So you can do that, no problem. And then the second one, he uses the memories and steps through them, because he said it in the interview, if you want to check out my video podcast, it feels weird calling it that. It was an interview series, but it's kind of turned into a video podcast, which is called How Do You Loop? You can buy the t-shirts and everything else. But we did a load of video interviews with a load of loop artists, and I'm still trying to get more. We did. Me and John did an interview for John, obviously to help him with his YouTube channel, but also because he has a really unique way of doing stuff. He does a lot of funk stuff, a lot of disco stuff. So if you're doing the second set and it's like, cool, hey, we've finished, and then you spend 3 minutes building up this entire disco set, people get bored. So what he's done is the second set, it's like next song, and he's got backing. Basically, he's made them all. He's done the bass lines, he's done everything else, but he's got the backing tracks pretty much there straight away. He used the RC300 for a very long time, moved over to the 600, and uses the GR55 with electric guitar. Really, really clever stuff. So if you want to go and have a look at John, look for John Wynn, W-Y-N-N-E. And I'm one of those YouTubey people who goes, go and watch something else. Go and watch Carl Wachner. Go and watch David Shannon. Go and watch John Wynn. Go and watch Emily McVicker. Go and watch because you should do. You should watch all of them, because it's like listening to another album. Go and listen to another album. So there we go. I'm gonna shut up now. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do like playing that. You can tell I like playing it as well. And also, it's a special song for me and my wife because we got married to that song. So whenever she's in the crowd, even if she's not in the crowd, I still dedicated it to her. So I absolutely love playing that song, and I love Elbow, seeing them live. They're a fantastic band. Pierce is, while we're chatting away, Pierce is basically giving advice for Loopy Pro. Everyone's got any Loopy Pro questions, throw them at Pierce. He's talking to Brandon now about setting clip rate destinations, which is cool. Clip destinations, actually, it's the mixer. It's the mixer video. So when we go over the mixer in Loopy Pro, we talk about the different destinations, and there's an advanced setup video as well. So if you pair them two together, you'll get it, definitely. So it's all good. Currently the because sounds like recording from the mic. Please, can you elaborate? Okay. In the loop, you're resampling into. Okay, you guys really are chatting away. That's all good. Drew, cheers. You're welcome. No problem at all. You're asking me about my favourite stuff. Honestly, I could play this. It's so hard. Certainly when you make the song your own version, or you enjoy it so much that you start tweaking things, you start playing little things. It's a really hard question to answer. And the question, if everyone didn't know, was what's your favourite cover to play? It's a really hard question. So there we go. This live stream is sponsored. It's sponsored by our friends at, there they are, right there, DistroKid. It's in the chat. You can go and have a look. It's all fun and games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at this now. I love this question. Do you know how many times I get this question a week? Would you like to know the answer? 0. It's never crashed. And that's not a touch wood thing. I know the reasons why people have their RC600 crash on them. There are some who are very unfortunate, and you can't change that. Like, it's just unfortunate. The thing crashes, it's a pain in the bum, and that's it. I do a really weird thing. Because of this channel, I do something that's a bit extra that most musicians don't do, which is whenever there's a software update, a firmware update, I wipe my RC600 completely. Now, most people are not prepared to do that because they're worried about, my settings and everything I've built up over the last year. So now there is a fantastic editor, which is the RC600 editor.com, which is made by the amazing John Moose Taylor. John has spent a long time making this, and I am currently going through bits and bobs of it to make a video about it. If you're not aware of it and you've got an RC600, you need to get the RC600 editor. It is no way affiliated by Boss. It is an unofficial editor, but this is the simplest way to reduce the amount of crashes, okay, which is this. If you're updating the firmware, boot up the editor, back everything up to the editor, then completely wipe your RC600. Wipe it clean. Factory reset the lot. Then do the firmware update. Then wipe it again. Now that sounds like, oh my God, I can't be bothered with that. But I've had that many crashes. 0. It's never crashed on me. And the reason is because if you think of it from a firmware point, if there's existing firmware, we're going to use that hand as existing firmware. Hi, I'm existing firmware. That is existing firmware. And then what we do is basically we've got a problem with that existing firmware, and then we update it with new firmware. It's got to overwrite it, but then it goes, well, that file's already there, so we'll leave that one, and then we'll leave that one. So bits of this stay behind. If you completely factory reset it and then do a firmware update and then factory reset that, you're getting rid of any existing software, okay? So that's how I look at it, and it might not be the right answer, I don't know, but the thing is, I've never had a single crash, and I feel so sorry for people who do, and I'm not going in, I really am not. I really genuinely feel them, certainly when it's on a gig. If you're practicing at home, it's frustrating, but my God, when you're on a gig and you get an error code or something, I really despair. It's not what people want. But the other thing that I've also seen, you've already just put it, Gary just put it. The other thing that you see a lot is basically the crashes seem to happen when MIDI is involved. MIDI basically is a big player for these crashes. And it's also when it's trying to receive MIDI, I think. I think when it's sending out and it's like, no, I'm sending it there, you listen to me, I think that's fine. But I think when it's receiving MIDI, there's lots of different parameters, and I think that's where it really, really does happen. I don't use it at the moment. You know, as I said, I'm not using the Morningstar. I want to use the Morningstar, and all the Morningstar will be doing is going, switch this on, switch this off. That's it. It's not like I'm going to be sending out a load of like program change data like for a whole song. So it depends what you do. So yeah. Now the great thing is the process I said about like factory resetting it, do the firmware update, factory reset it again, that's a pain in the bum, right? Since the RC600 editors come out though, the great thing is that saves all your stuff. So what you can do is, and it saves it really well, and you can tweak it there, which is really great. So what you can do is save your stuff on the RC600 editor, do the firmware update, fine, factory reset it, and then start bringing your stuff back in through the editor. Simple, nice and easy, because then that way you know that if anything goes massively wrong, the editor's got the backup of it. And I think that's something that it wasn't just about changing the parameters, it was about my stuff, you know, the stuff you've learned along the way, you've built up along the way. And it's one of those things where I think the RC600 editor by John Moose Taylor, I like saying that. It is John Taylor, but he always calls himself John Moose Taylor. He's done phenomenal work. So if you have an RC600, go and see, just search for John Moose Taylor RC600 editor and you'll find it. I think it literally is just rc600editor.com. And it's a lifesaver, definitely. Take off, nuke the site from orbit, restore from backup. It's the only way to be sure. Absolutely. Right then. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to change the guitars. Although poor Lucky Lime's only been played a little bit tonight, to be honest. By the way, what do you think of these? These are cool. These are the Lackato sort of like guitar hangers. They're really nice. They just don't move. You watch now, one will fall down behind me. Some people ask me, why do you play in DadGad? That's why. Let me know in the chat if you actually play in any different tunings, but one of the reasons I play in DadGad as well is because it has that Celtic sound, but when you're looping stuff, it's a little bit more deep, it's a bit, a bit more chuggy. And then, followed by muggy, chuggy, wuggy, thuggy, fruggy, and then there's suggy. Pierce, is there something similar for the RC505? Unsure. I don't know if John's working on something like that because I know he is an RC600 person, but technically it's the same brain, but I don't know if the RC600 editor works with a 505. You'd have to ask him that because it has the same stuff on it, right? But yeah, there we go. Depends. Yeah, I mean, I'm a chord player myself. I'm a chord player, and I self-taught myself DadGad because I just like the actual sound of it. I think it's really, really nice. It's easy as well. So putting it in so much nicer than bar chords. From that position, it's not major or minor. It's quite nice. So there's lots of different reasons why I use it, but the other thing as well is that, as I said, there's a couple of different covers that I do, and the covers actually sound nicer in DadGad than if I was to play it in normal tuning. So, for example, if I was to play Superstition by Stevie Wonder, there's a couple of things I do. There's a couple of effects I use. So I'm just going to bring the pedal back up so you can see it. It is a lovely drony sound. It's lovely, you know. You know, it's really nice. So the nice thing is with Superstition, now with Superstition, what I do is I actually use the bass line. Of course, I sing my basses. Do you notice I'm adjusting the volume with my foot? That's really handy. It's so useful. So I actually use the bass line, but like I sing it. So here we go. superstitious. Writings on the wall. Very superstitious. Light's about to fall. 15-month-old baby. Broke that looking glass. 7 years of bad luck. Good things in your past. Now what you do here. Now we've got a key change, which is if you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. So what would you do? What would you do in that scenario? It's rocking, it's going, people are expecting the chorus at that point. So what I do is I literally turn everything off apart from the drums. And then because I've got a harmony going at the same time, this harmony here, which is the TC Helicon, it's a third up, a fourth down, and it's also a unison down. So it's actually if I... Yeah, yeah. So it can actually be up to 5 voices because you've got a unison up, a unison down, a third up, a fourth down, and my voice. And then also the harmonies are actually pitched and set in such a way that they're lower than my voice as well. So my voice is always the one that's at the forefront. So if we've got this rocking, and then obviously people are expecting, if you believe in things that you don't understand, then what we're going to do is I'm just going to wind it back about 15 seconds before, and then we'll go into the chorus. Sorry, I couldn't see because the camera. Hang on a second. Don't understand when you suffer, yeah. Superstition ain't the way. Now, I hope that made sense. It wasn't the best example. The reason is I'm playing a little bit quieter tonight, as the granddaughter is fast asleep, and I don't want to wake her. But so for that little bit, obviously, if we've got enough going through, we've got enough with the octave down, where it's listening to the chord and it's singing that chord at the same time. It literally sounds a little bit like a human bass, so it doesn't sound too far-fetched from what I've put down already. And then we've also got the drums still going for it. We take we take that off, and then you're good to go. You can make this as slow or as fast as you want to. It depends on what you want to do, though. So there we go. We've got a question. Well, we've got a statement, really. I want to set up the looper in multi-mode, one track with 1 bar strum rhythm, another track for the chords, multi-bar. But when I stop the chords track, I cannot get it to start in sync again on the RC50. Yes. Yes, you're going to struggle with that. Sorry, I didn't mean to scoff, but yes, you are going to struggle with that. Whereas with this, I'll give you an example I said to you basically about playing All About That Bass. So, I'm playing the chord right now. So technically it's 8 bars, okay? But what I'll do is I'll do a 1 bar loop on this, and I'll put the 8 bars on this. Hope that makes sense. Hope you can hear the guitar. It's turned a little bit down here. You can see that going around compared to this one. If I go to this one, it's going around much, much faster. So this is what it means to actually have it in free mode. So have it in free mode, it means that, and also I have the quantizing to per bar, so the nearest bar, as it were. So if it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then also you'll notice that I can actually tap these a little bit early or a little bit late, and it kind of figures it out from the very first loop, because it's like, well, that's the BPM. The BPM is displayed up here in the corner. Which is currently telling me it's 135, so 135.1. So then obviously if that's 135.1, it's going to have per bar, per measure for each of the other ones with all 5 other tracks. And it makes it so much simpler because you decide and you don't have to pre-program it, you don't have to think about it, you just go for it and it's fine. So definitely if you're going from the RC50, all I would say is I commend you for keeping to the RC50 for such a long time, or for having the RC50 and just mastering it, which is fantastic because it's a great device. And you can, the funny thing is you can even put this like the RC50. So you select the track and then hit record or play or overdub. There's even a thing how to do that in the manual. But you can still have that thing of multi-phrase looping where you've still got 1 bar, 6 bars, 12 bars, whatever you want. With the latest version of the firmware, which is version 1.21, that can do that. And you've got the advantages of an RC50, but with the advancements of a 600. I hope that makes sense. And you've got 6 loops as well. And it's 32-bit. And you've got loads of effects that are actually useful. So there we go. Now, this is a really great question. Good evening, Steve, by the way. By the way, before I answer this question, if everyone can do me a favor, by the way, I said it in the last live stream, thank you, just thank you so much, that we went over 20,000 subscribers. I'm not looking for more praise, I'm just saying thank you. Just thank you genuinely, I can't believe it. I'm still blown away, and it keeps going up. It's great, and I must be doing something right, so I'm really happy, but thank you very much. Is the harmonizer on the RC600 much different from the Helicon? Yes. I have tried to let the Helicon go, and I can't, for one major reason, and it is the harmonizer. There's basses, there's radio sounds, there's amp sounds, there's delay sounds. There is a harmony sound on the RC600. It can only be triggered by one of 2 ways. Number 1, you pick the key, just like the old school way. Number 2, MIDI. That's it. And it says it's got like a multi-version way of doing it. All it means is that you can say, well, it's in D, but if you play an F on a keyboard, it'll override it. It will not understand the guitar at all. It won't understand it unless the only person I think has figured it out and way around it is by having a GR55 with one of those connectors on your guitar that sends data to it to tell it that's the note it is. So it makes it, basically it makes your guitar like a keyboard, so it figures out that's the keyboard and that's it. But I think that's the only way around it, is it needs MIDI data. Whereas the TC Helicon, the Voice Live Play, the Play Acoustic, the Voice Live Touch, the Touch 2, they all have what they call natural play. And they figured this algorithm out years ago, and it's just never got old. Where I play in any tuning I want. I'm dadgad right now. So I'll give you an example. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what you play. It goes, I know what that is, and it's fine. So until the only other Boss one that does it, I think, is the VE500, which is a direct competitor to the TC Helicon. But for me personally, I've had the TC Helicon for years. These are my tweaks on presets that I've had for years, so I've always stuck with it. So yeah, it's basically you either set the chord, which is annoying because then if you have like these things, you'll end up with discords, and the set the chord thing never works for me. And then the other one is you have to do it by MIDI. Now, I've done it by MIDI. I've actually plugged the keyboard in and played piano sound while sending MIDI data to it, and it works. It's okay. I think the Helicon sounds a hell of a lot more natural. It's not natural, but it sounds more natural, way more natural than the others. I think there's nothing that beats it personally. But yeah, it's basically an absolute thing for that, definitely. I would basically always have something like that. Now, if you just need harmony and you don't need any other effect whatsoever, then you don't need the Voice Live Play Acoustic. The Voice Live Play Acoustic's nice. It's got like hundreds of presets, and you can have presets for the guitar and all different kinds of things. I have the same preset for the whole guitar range, and you can set it like that, so it's global. And I just use it as a vocal processor, really. There is another one, which is Harmony Singer 2, and it's about the size of this pedal. And it literally is just a one up, one down. That's it. And you can have two voices, and you pick what the voices are, but then you literally are still naturally playing. So if you just need that on and off, that's a great option, and it'll save you a lot of money as well. And answer Piers' question, have you tried the Boss VE? It's the VE500. I have. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think the Helicon has a more natural sounding voice. If you add too many voices, it all sounds a bit too digital choiry anyway. But if you just have like an up or an up and a down, they don't sound bad. It's not a bad sounding thing, and it's also got a couple of cool different sounds as well, the VE500. The one advantage of the VE500 over the Helicon is it has MIDI. Now, you could then send the MIDI data out to something else, or you could send the MIDI data from the RC600 to the VE500 to make sure that the timing's right for your delays, or for your compressor, or for this, that, and the other, for the presets, which is a really clever idea. Whereas with the Helicon, it's a standalone system. Now, when you go to the Voice Lives, the Voice Live 3, the Voice Live 3 Extreme, that has MIDI, but the Play Acoustic and the Play Electric, I don't think their plays had MIDI on any of them. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think they do. So yeah, so I've always stuck with that. I had the Voice Live 2, the Voice Live 3, the Voice Live Touch, the Voice Live Touch 2. I went through them all. And then I actually settled on this one. And the 3 I loved. You could do another brick in the wall and sound like the whole choir's there. But then it was like I had that next door to like an RC300, and I had it in like a sort of pedal board that was like that long. It was massive. And I was like, how much of this am I actually using? And I was like, I'm using like 5% of the actual effects on the pedal board. So I cut it down to this. I think you can have 8 voices on the Voice Live 3. This is 2 voices with doubling effects, so technically you can have 4. But yeah, it's all fun and games. Yeah, if I were Boss, I'd definitely be sending you one to try. Yeah, well, I mean, that's up to them if they want to do that. We have a great standing relationship with Boss, so hence the lovely little AC22 amp that we did the other week. It's a lovely little amp if you want to go. So Boss can just take it out. I actually used it in a little street party yesterday. It was lovely, and it's a 10-watt amp. It's got enough just to push a little sound out, and that's nice. And it's those feel sounds are really, really nice. But no, if they want to send me a V500, I'll be happy. That's up to them though. I'd be very grateful from Boss. I mean, they've sent me quite a lot of stuff, to be fair, to review and to play around with, so I can't complain at all. So for those who are interested, tomorrow, which is Tuesday, I'll be going to the open mic night in Manchester, which is called the Whiskey Jar, and I'll be playing maybe 2 or 3 songs there, taking the loofah with me. We've got a new song which is called Whiskey Jar, which is written because of the Whiskey Jar, funnily enough, and also its host, which is Joe McAdam, and Joe is hopefully going to be singing on this track as well. So we're going to be making a new track called Whiskey Jar. It's written already. We're waiting on Joe. He's a very busy man. So we're basically going to be bringing that out as soon as we can get that mixed and mastered, and we're going to mix and master it. You see where this is leading? We're going to mix and master it using DistroKid, because what DistroKid do is they sponsor this live stream, and they are today's sponsor. We have a wonderful relationship with DistroKid. Thank you very much for them to sponsor this live stream. If you are looking to release your own music, release as much as you want in 365 days, then this is the best way to do it. DistroKid send your music out to lots of different places. Obviously, the big ones, the big guns are Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Deezer, Tidal, iHeartRadio. But what they also do as well is send it out to places like social media. So they send it to TikTok, they send it to Instagram for Reels, they send it to Facebook. And you can actually then make your own Reels and stories and use your music as the music for the reel and story, and you get paid for that. And so can anyone else. Anyone else can use your music as well. For that, and your music could go viral, and you get paid. So we have a great relationship with them. We have a QR code that's been up here the whole time, which is that one, and we have now just put the same one down there. And if you scan that, you get 7% off your first annual membership with them. So for those who don't realize, when you make music and you send it out to be released, most music distributors charge you for every release that you do. DistroKid don't do that. They charge you one price per year, and that price starts at $22.99. And with the link, it goes down to $21.38. If you think about how much guitar strings are, then you can release as much music as you want for basically under $22 a year, which is great. So thank you very much to DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream. The other person I am actually hailing out today is my good YouTube friend, David Shannon. David is from New Zealand. If you don't know who he is, then where have you been? Go and see his YouTube channel as soon as we finish this. I nearly said right now, but please don't leave. And he is doing a loop masterclass, and that is at the end of August. Now, if you can't make that, but you still want to know what it's all about, it's $67. He's got loads of great tips and tricks. And then what he's doing as well is, for those who are all signed up, you get the link for the live event. And then you'll also get the video of the live event as well, so you'll still get access to all his teachings. And I want to help him out. We had a great conversation about it, and I said, look, let's just get you promoted on the live stream, because I really want to help the guy out, and he's a fantastic guy. And we've done an interview with him, and we chat on a regular basis. So click the link that's gone into it should have gone into the chat, hopefully it has, or if not, to then scan that QR code for David's Loop Masterclass at the end of this month. Warm. Right, so would you like me to do a song? Would that be useful? Now the other thing as well is that just before I do a song, I need to do one thing, because for those who are regulars of the channel, you may know that this is my main camera that you're staring at right now. The camera that's actually looking at the RC600 is my iPhone, and it's just told me that it's got 10% left, so let me go and plug it in. So in these situations, what I like to do is literally have a little bit of lift music. If you like that. Right then, so if you are still here, and I'd like you to tell me what song, if you are a musician, you may not be a musician, you may just like watching these things, and that's fine. What song do you end the night on? So what's the song, not the more, please, encore. I mean, what's the song that's in your repertoire that you just go, this is the last song, and then you may do an encore after that, but what is the last song that you go, that's the one, and you know, if you're playing covers, like what's the song that you're just going to go, that's the song to either get everyone up for the last hurrah, or that's the last song that you do. So let me know in the chat, put it in the chat, and then we can have a good chat about it. I'm going to let you know what mine is. So I have two. The first one is actually by an American band, which is actually not well known around here. And the funny thing is, it's one of those, oh, I think I remember that from like a certain time of my life. And it's actually semisonic, and it's closing time. And of course, it makes sense, closing time, as in everyone get out. And it's quite an easy song to play. So at the end of the night, when your fingers are knackered, it's... Closing time, open up the door and let you out into the world. Closing time, turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl. Closing time, one last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And then it goes into, I know I want to take you home, come on. And then I do that as a chorus, just the guitar and the harmonizer, but then we actually get into looping. So the whole first verse and chorus is actually done a cappella, like just me, the guitar, and everyone, you know, losing time, and then, I know who I want to take me home, home. Time for you going to the places you will be found. Closing time, this room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come. Together after jackets, move it to the exits. I hope you have found a friend. Closing time, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Yeah, I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. So I do that one. That's one of the ones I do. By the way, obviously I said it early on tonight, I'm saying it again. I'm singing a little bit quieter tonight, mainly because we've got the granddaughter in the house and she's trying to sleep and I don't want to wake her. But I'm just singing a little bit quieter for that reason. But I normally belt that out at the end of the night. I know, go mental. And then the other one is the one that is the cringy one. And it's actually just easier. Just it depends if you want to add a loop or not. Now at this point, of course, this is the point where, you know, at the end of night, people obviously inebriated and just wanted to go up and go for it. And you can dun 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 dun. So, what you can do is you can do this. And we carry on from there. And the funny thing is about that song, obviously, I've just literally, by the end of the night, it's tiring and sweaty and everything else. You're literally just putting one loop down, which is this. It's the simplest loop ever, but it keeps them going, and it's one of those things. I don't think I've ever sung that song on my own. Ever. I don't think there's ever been a situation where I've sung it and people have gone, mm-hmm. They're all like, sweet Carol, da ba ba. You know, they love doing that. So that's the two songs that I'll do closing time and I'll do that one. And those two, it depends on the audience with closing time. You have to sort of pick it a little bit. But I said earlier on in the chat, like one of my favorite songs to sing is Free Fallin'. So I'll do Free Fallin' as the last song. And then Sweet Caroline is the encore, because people go mental for it every time. It's an absolute banger. And it's one of those things where it's cheese, but at the same time, it's actually a right good show, which is real fun. Now then, yes, that's quite funny. I particularly love getting copyright claims for The Party in Glass, the only one of the three songs that was first published 250 years ago. Changed a bit, Party in Glass, Rolling Home, or Here Is My Home, depending on the context. And then Pierce has said, at least my arrangement of Poor Wayfaring Stranger is different enough from that, not to get claims against it. Ed Sheeran Ed Sheeran copyrights his arrangements, and then suddenly everyone copy trolls on the planet and claims theirs. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously depends on what you're doing, depends on obviously what you're using. Depends on the style you're doing as well. Of course, I'm assuming and talking about obviously playing covers all night long. You could be doing your own music. Of course, you could be doing your own stuff, which I also do as well. So where are we? Next week, and on the 1st of September, I am playing a support act, and I'm the support act for a tribute act. And in those scenarios, what I do is I will play my own stuff, and I'll probably drop one cover in, and that's about it. maybe, which is great because it's a 45-minute set, and it is a fantastic opportunity to just play, as you. So it's one of those things where have a think about obviously what your last song is or could be using the looper, or maybe you're not using the looper. It depends at that point of the night. And put it in the chat. What we're going to do is we aren't going to wrap up this evening because we have obviously covered quite a lot of different topics. But what I also want to do as well is I want to give the people who are watching this on the replay the opportunity to obviously put stuff in the comments. So put stuff in the comments section, which will appear now, obviously once this is replayed. And then what we can do is we'll be able to, there we go. We'll be able to gather everyone's sort of last song together, and then what we'll do is we'll have a chat about it. Now, next week's LoopLab Mondays is not on a Monday because we're away for bank holiday, but it will be a LoopLab Monday on a Tuesday. So it's actually going to be on Tuesday night, which is next week. So if you've got any questions regarding looping, or you've got problems with looping, you're thinking, I just need a little bit of help with that, then have a think about them. Write them down, and then come and join us next Tuesday. Normally LoopLab Mondays, but it's Tuesday. So what we'll do is it's actually down already as LoopLab Mondays, but it's going to be a LoopLab Tuesday. And then we're going to try and do this as many Mondays as we can do. But I just want to thank everyone for obviously contributing. If you can do me a massive favor and give this video a thumbs up on your way down to subscribing to the channel, then that would be fantastic. It tells the algorithm then that basically it's liked, and it will be sent out to more people. But thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you've got something out of it, and then hopefully we will see you all next week. Have a good week. Bye. Ooh.